did it! Woo! Oh, that was hard.
During our next Barrow's Reaper, we ended up getting lucky and received an Amulet of the Forsaken. This will be our best amulet basically until we can make an Amulet of Souls, so it's a really great addition to our gear. This amulet can also be used to make the Berserker's Fury Relic from Archaeology, which makes you deal more damage the lower your health is. We'll use this first one as part of our gear, and hopefully we can get a second one at some point to create the relic. I'd been running low on food, so I went around to a couple shops to get some. First off, there's shops at the Tree Gnome Stronghold that sell a decent amount of low-tier food. After that, you can grab some more food from the shop in Brimhaven. Finally, you can also grab some nice food along with some super potions from the shop in Mazcab. We now have another daily that we'll be adding to our list, Soul Obelisks. These obelisks will spawn occasionally around Menaphos and can be interacted with to gain reputation in the city. These are handy to do early on so you can get all of the bonuses and quests from Menaphos unlocked. Siphoning from the obelisk will damage you, but there's a trick that I learned later on for getting around most of it. If you click on the obelisk whenever you see your XP drop, it'll disconnect you from the obelisk before reattuning yourself with it. Every time you disconnect, you'll gain some HP back, which allows you to use the Soul Obelisk with hardly any food. It's a bit more involving to do this trick, but can be worth it if you don't have the food to spare. Finding Soul Obelisks is done through the same friends chat as the Corrupted Scarabs, Soul Obby. Today was also time for monthlies, and we got a pretty nice triple fortunate drop from the Giant Oyster. After we'd finished our dailies, it was back to 83 to start training up our ranged. The next day I decided to work on a bit of Slayer as a way to train up our melee stats. Before doing this, I needed to complete the Smoking Kills quest, otherwise we'd only be gaining half the usual Slayer points. The only thing to watch out for in this quest is the final battle. It's not too tough of a fight, but make sure you switch to Protect Missiles at around half health because the other minions in the room will be joining the fight. And with that quest complete, we gain a bit of Slayer XP and will now start receiving full Slayer points for our tasks. The first task we ended up getting was Iron Dragons. This seemed a bit troubling since we didn't have anti-fires yet. This means that we'd have to fight the dragons using an anti-dragon shield and a main hand weapon. We gave this a go, but it took a really long time to get even a single kill, so clearly this wasn't viable yet. Instead, we went to go train melee at Hellhounds. After doing a bit of training, we decided to take a break and start working on some questing towards unlocking a Dragon Halberd to make our training go even faster. The Dragon Halberd is viable after the quest Regicide, so the first quest to complete was the Underground Pass. This is a pretty long quest with a handful of annoying parts in it. Near the beginning when you have to cross this section, we got surprisingly lucky and got just a straight line to cross. Shortly after, there's a section where you need to pass by a number of trapped walls. Make sure to disarm each trap before passing, because they can deal a decent amount of damage if you don't. During this section here, you have the option to take the agility path or the thieving path. If you have the 50 thieving to do the thieving path, I'd recommend taking it because it's much easier than the alternative. The final area has you jumping across these bridges quite often and is usually the most annoying part of this quest. Anytime you fail the agility check, it'll put you into the cavern below, requiring you to run all the way back to the top to try again. Because of this, having a higher agility level than required can come in handy. Once you've finally completed all of the tasks required, it's time to enter the final room. There are flames that can damage you, so make sure to quickly throw the doll in the well to complete this section. And with that, Underground Pass is complete, and we gain some agility and attack XP, along with a whopping 5 quest points. Next up, it was time to complete Regicide. The first thing you'll need to do in this quest is travel all the way back through the Underground Pass. Once you're on the other side, don't forget to grab the lodestone. Later on, you'll need to make some naphtha. This minigame can be a bit awkward at first. What you need to do is first turn on the tar regulator valve. Once the pressure is in the green, turn on the pressure valve to stop it from increasing. Then from there you slowly add coal to increase the heat into the green, and then add additional coal whenever the heat lowers from the green. I'd recommend making a second barrel while you're at it, because you're going to need one for another quest later on as well. After a few more simple tasks, Regicide is complete, gaining us a bunch of agility XP and access to our Dragon Halberd, which we went to pick up right away. We couldn't actually use it yet, so it was back to Hellhounds for some more training. And after a little bit of time, we could use our dragon Halberd. The following day I was invited to do some Ed1 Token Farming. This can be a really great way to earn lots of dungeoneering tokens, but it's also much more dangerous than ED3 runs. I'd only really recommend doing these if you know what you're doing and you have a good tank with you. The idea here is to kill as many mini-bosses as you can since they each drop 5,000 tokens. Before you can do ED1 token farming, you need to complete the Impressing the Locals quest, which only takes a few minutes. In the aims of furthering our melee setup, I decided it would be nice to get a fire cape from the Fight Cave minigame. The Fight Cave is a safe minigame, so you don't need to worry about dying here if you give it a go. It consists of 62 waves of enemies and then a fight against Jad. The key to beating this at low level is managing your supplies, since you can only bring a single inventory for the entire encounter. A nice little trick you can employ if needed is to use this pole as a safe spot. You can then take the time to heal off your adrenaline and also kill any melee enemies without getting hit. Using something like the Vampirism aura can also be very handy to keep your health up. After battling through all the waves, you'll encounter Jad at the end. The main thing to deal with here is properly prayer flicking. As long as you're not in melee range, he'll only use major ranged attacks. Unlike normal enemies though, if you have the proper prayer on for his attack, it'll fully block the attack. When he stands up on his hind legs, he's using a mage attack, and when he stomps on the ground, it's a ranged attack. There are also small minions that spawn during the fight that'll continuously heal Jad, so make sure to attack them once so they aggro on you. Try not to kill them though, or more will spawn and you'll need to tag them again. After beating Jad, we received our fancy new fire cape. The next day we were working on some clue scrolls and ended up completing the rum deal quest to complete one of our steps. After a while, I was in the mood to fight something, but was kinda bored of Barrow's, Mole, and Dagonoth Kings. I decided it could be a fun idea to try and see if I could get a Vindicta kill. I definitely was not well prepared to be taking on Vindicta, so I wouldn't recommend it to anyone at this point, but I was confident that I could maybe do it. Before giving it a go, I wanted to unlock the tier 70 prayers to help with damage and accuracy. We first needed to complete a couple quests, starting with one small favor. This is a long and tedious quest where you go around completing tasks for NPCs that then require you to complete another task for another NPC. It's a pretty long string of events, but awards us some XP lamps when complete. Next, we needed to complete the King's Ransom quest, which is a pretty simple quest that awards a huge amount of defense XP when complete, and access to the Knight's Training Grounds minigame. This minigame is where you unlock the tier 70 prayers. You have to battle through the 8 knights of the round, with each being a bit tougher than the last. The main thing here is you will not be able to use prayers, so make sure to have a decent amount of food. Your stats will also be drained throughout the fights, so you'll also want to bring several super restores. Aside from that, it's not particularly difficult and is a safe death if you die, so don't worry too much about it. And now that we have our prayers unlocked, it was time to fight Vindicta for some reason. This fight ended up being pretty sketchy, because my attacks would splash quite often, and my defense was low, so I was taking a lot of damage. Phase 1 ended up using most of my supplies because of this. Partway into Phase 2, I ended up running out of food, but decided to continue on anyways because why not? In the end, I was barely able to pull it off, but we got our first Vindicta kill. I'll link the full fight in the description if you want to check it out. After that kill, it was clear that we weren't ready to properly start doing Vindicta, so I set my aims a little lower, with General Grodor next on my radar. Before jumping into that, we went and unlocked our God Banner to help out with various skilling activities. The God Banner is an item that'll allow you to boost a bunch of different skills by 2 for 30 minutes each day. You get it by talking to the emissary of your choice. We chose to go with the Godless. Once you have the banner, you'll need to complete a few activities to unlock its boosting ability. It's definitely a great item to unlock and will come in handy quite often. In the aims of fighting General Grodor, we went and finished off leveling our attack and strength to 70 so we could use our Torag's hammer. Then we went and leveled our summoning a bit so we could bring a terror bird with us for extra food. Finally, we needed to complete the Death Plateau and Troll Stronghold quests so we could get access to God War's dungeon. We didn't have any Bandos items, so we ended up using the Bandos pool for Mooglog to make it so we wouldn't get aggroed by the minions outside of his room. After going through all of our KC and battling Grottor, we were able to get a single kill. So apparently we weren't particularly ready to take on God Wars 1 either. Either way, it was pretty cool getting a couple of more interesting boss kills in, and hopefully we'd be able to do more of them soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to let me know what you thought down in the comments, and I'd also love it if you came by and hung out with us on Twitch sometime under the same name as my YouTube channel, BreaCheese. A link to my stream and my schedule will be down in the video description. See you in the next one!